been a bit on, I guess.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Premier. Premier, the Benders are selling their shares in Huon Aquaculture after a chequered history of environmental damage, social disregard and animal welfare issues. Many Tasmanians would think it couldn't get any worse. Instead, JBS has moved in. The largest meat protein company on the planet has an appalling environmental and human rights record. It's guilty of massive deforestation of the Amazon, clearing Indigenous land, US price fixing, and it refuses transparency of their products. And JBS also has form in Tasmania. It poisoned King Island by pumping raw abattoir effluent into Porky's River. After a $3 million bailout grant from the government to fix its mess, it turned around and sacked all the workers. When it suited their business model, they then closed Koiba and Longford. This company couldn't give a stuff about workers or their health and safety. And they don't give a damn about the environment. They're Brazilian butchers plundering the planet's resources, and they're coming after our cheap marine real estate. Hoovering up Huon Aquaculture is attractive for them thanks to your government's weak regulations of fish farming and massive expansion plans.
What's the question?
It's in everybody's interest for fish farming to be truly sustainable. Mr Speaker, I am finishing my question.
Hitachi over there.
Oh, well, it's
in bed with the Brazilian butchers.
Speaker, I wonder if you could draw the member to her question.
Oh, well, that's... I am very attentive to my question. Thank you.
And Dr Woodruff, I would ask you to go to the question. The preamble has been very long. So.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
It's
facts that need to be on the record so the Premier can answer the question which I am getting to now. Premier.
Order.
Premier, you said you found JBS to be a company that's been fair and reasonable to deal with. Will you retract that ludicrous statement and support for the company? Will you create an independent EPA and regulate marine farming in Tasmania to protect our environment and economy?
All that for that.
Good question.
Honourable Premier.
The good corporate citizen, JBS, the Brazilian butchers.
Oh.
Mr Speaker, well, that was quite a preamble to the question, Mr Speaker. I thank the member for Franklin for that long-winded question.
Alternative facts.
Look, a couple of points that I would make. First and foremost is
Publicly
that
available information, Mr Ferguson.
Peter and Frances Bender have employed thousands of Tasmanians. They have invested millions of dollars in this state. They have created jobs, and they have created a great product.
Absolutely.
And Tasmanians should be proud of what they've done. Tasmanians should be proud of what they've done, Mr Speaker. Now, in terms of other matters that you've raised, I would make the point that this side of the House, since coming to government, has strengthened regulation in terms of the salmon industry, which is something that you never did. Something that you never did when you were in government.
You were in government.
When you were in government. In fact, if memory serves me correct, you were a great supporter of Huon at one time. Great supporter of Huon at one time, Mr Speaker. So look, again, hypocrisy writ large, Mr Speaker, from the Greens. But in terms of the circumstance regarding the Benders and the sale of Huon, that is a matter for those purchases, of which I understand there may be a couple of them floating around, Mr Speaker. And the point that I've made, though, in terms of JBS, and I've only had to deal with them on one particular issue, which is when we needed to save the pork industry. When we needed to save the pork industry, and I said quite publicly that they were a very reasonable corporate citizen to deal with, Mr Speaker, when we put in place that plan, and they saved in concert with the state that industry, the jobs, Mr Speaker, that it supported.
That's right.
But look, this matter will run its course. This matter will run its course, and I note, again, in terms of the comments that you've made in here, which, I think on a number of measures could be considered to be defamatory. I doubt if you would say them outside. I doubt if you would say them outside the House, but then that's a matter for you. But in terms of this, Mr Speaker, I'll return to where I started, and I want to say to Peter and Frances Bender, who have been great supporters of Tasmania for a long period of time, thank you for the investment. Thank you for the jobs that you provided, many of which are in regional and rural Tasmania, Mr Speaker. You know, thank you for helping us to build a strong brand, Mr Speaker, in terms of salmon, Mr Speaker. But Mr Speaker, in terms of the rest of the commentary, I'll put it down as that came from the member for Frank.
Mr Speaker, the Premier is mistaken. Every bit of information that Dr Woodruff put on her question is publicly available and referenced.
It's not a point of order, Miss O'Connor.
Well, the Premier is being misleading because he doesn't want to...
Order.
They're corrupt.
Miss O'Connor, I've had enough today. Miss O'Connor, I'll ask you to leave the chamber till the conclusion of question time.
Sure.
Well, you don't get a choice.
They are corrupt, though.
No, don't.
They are.
It's supposed to go quietly. Goodness.
Look, Mr Speaker, again, I'll just make the point. Peter and Francis Bender have been very...
This is about JBS.
No, you made it. You made it.
Dr Woodruff, unless you wish to join your colleague.
I think if you read the
Point of order,
question...
Mr Speaker. The Premier was directing his comments directly at me and I responded directly at him because he was not being accurate.
Dr Woodruff, I don't have to remind you that you did ask the question, so in responding to it, I would have thought that would have been reasonable.
Well, the way that Miss O'Connor jumped in, I was wondering for a moment where the question had come from, but Mr Speaker, I would make the point that the Huons have been very good the Benders have been very good Tasmanians. Well, I think if you reread your question, I think, to be quite frank, the comments that you've made about Huon, I think you should come back into the place and apologise to the Benders, to be honest. But Mr Speaker, again, I'd make the point, we strongly back the salmon industry. We have increased the regulation of it, Mr Speaker. We've put the regulation at arm's length, Mr Speaker, which it wasn't before, Mr Speaker, which when the Greens were in government had an opportunity to do. Mr Speaker, we will continue to support this industry. The corporate machinations that are going on at the moment will run their course, and then obviously at the end of the day, FIRB will have a say.